Welcome to the stream, YouTube video, whatever this is going to be. We're going to watch some true crime today. No, I'm not Steve Minecraft. Don't let my chat convince you such. These are some suggested from our React Suggestions tab of Discord. If you haven't been in there already and submitted something, you're free to. Anything true crime or not. We like to watch just interesting stuff. So feel free to join the Discord and be a part of a fun community. And if you happen to be watching these on YouTube, you missed the stream, but you're welcome to come to the next one. I stream almost every day over at Twitch. The YouTube channel you watch these on also goes live. I multi-stream to there, but you can't chat or anything. You can just watch and be told that I'm live. So if you're over on YouTube streams and want to experience the full streaming experience, come on over to Twitch because is it fun here? Do you guys like it? I'm waiting with anticipation. Okay, that's a lot of no's. All right, that's a lot of no's. He trapped us. No, that's not true. I cannot build you another portal, no. You are not in a box. You're free to leave at any point. You just have to get past the 20 cars I'm about to toss at you. Anyway, let's watch the video. We're going to watch another one. Rowdy frat boy mess with the wrong freshman. An interesting video, to say the least. I'm sure this could be a many thing, but we're going to find out.
On October 9th, 2015, at 1:20 a.m.,
what is rat boy
students
mean?
living in the Mountain View Hall dorms at Northern Arizona University were settling down after a night.
What does frat boy mean? Oh. Yeah, I mean, fraternities are like little clubs in college, essentially. I don't know how else to put them. They're like little groups of people who sort of like use it as they're just basically groups that get together and they're little cults of people who have fun hanging out with each other and drinking and debauchery. Yeah. Just a club, but it's basically being like a party boy, yeah.
Of partying. Suddenly, they heard
typically
screams
douchey
coming
behavior
from the parking lot. Just as they looked out their windows, they witnessed a gunman firing a barrage of bullets at several people. The Flagstaff Police Department was flooded with 911 calls.
There's a guy outside and he's shooting people. He's yelling right now. There's people on the ground. Yes, someone's shooting a gun. Someone got shot outside of Mountain View Hall. Someone needs to come right now and get ambulance.
The victims, NAU students Colin Brew and Nick Peering, were critically injured. Several heroic bystanders, along with the gunman's friend, Jacob Mike, rushed over to help the victims. As they were applying pressure to the victims' wounds, the gunman was shoved to the ground and attacked. In a panic, Jacob called 911.
Flagstaff 911, where's your emergency? 911. 911.
Mountain View. This guy's killing my friend. Whoa.
What's going on there?
Someone is attacking my friend.
Do they have any weapons?
Medicine.
Do they have any weapons?
Yeah.
What kind of weapons?
I'm not sure. It's a gun.
It's a gun?
Are you okay, dude?
Stay on the line.
More pressure. Put more pressure. I know. You're trying to hurt me. I'm sorry.
The call suddenly disconnected as Jacob attempted to protect his friend. Several more shots rang out, and another wave of 911 calls poured in.
I need an ambulance on Franklin Avenue. Like 3 boys just got shot.
The 3 boys?
Yeah, like something like that. My boyfriend's shot in the neck. One is shot in the abdomen. I need an ambulance. I need an ambulance right now. My boyfriend's shot. Oh my God.
Hi, I believe that there's a guy, he has a gun, and he just shot some people outside. Where? At NAU at Mountain View. Did he just run off?
3 shots, probably a minute break, and then 2 more shots.
Can you see the shooter?
No.
And what does he look like?
I don't know. There's a bunch of people outside. I don't know who the shooter is.
Due to the poor lighting conditions in the parking lot, none of the callers were able to provide an accurate description of the suspect. A fleet of police cruisers stormed the Mountain View parking lot where they found 3 victims scattered on the ground. Kyle Zintek was shot twice in the back, Nick Peering was shot in the left arm and hip, and Colin Brew had been shot in the chest and the right shoulder and was unresponsive. Bystanders were still tending to their wounds, but since the police were uncertain who the shooter was, they were all ordered to get down on the ground.
This isn't us. This is the other guy. Where's the other guy? Officer. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Everybody on the ground.
At the north end of the parking lot, another group of police cruisers arrived at the campus entrance where they encountered 18-year-old NAU freshman Stephen Jones and his friends. Stephen immediately told the officers that he was the shooter, and he was promptly arrested.
Turn around. On the ground. On the ground.
Raise your hands up. Shot. Go help them.
Hold on. You do not move. Do not move.
Officer, please. Please, can you answer me? I'm going to be okay, please.
You're going to be fine for right now.
Please, I'm so sorry, please.
Hang on, buddy. Hang on.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Hang on.
Oh, my God. Please, officer, please. Oh, my God. Oh, my
Is this the guy that shot them, I think?
Hang on, sir. Hang on.
Although Stephen was visibly shaken up, he was clearly more concerned about the condition of the people he had just shot.
Please go help them, officer, please. Please go help them. I'm so sorry, please. Please go help them.
Also, his behavior throughout his arrest resembled that of a scared child rather than a ruthless killer.
Almost like shooting a gun and hurting somebody is a very, very morally, like, fracturing choice to make. Because everybody wants to sit and want a gun to protect themselves, but then get in a situation where they have to do that sort of thing and just crumble because this is not a normal thing to have to do. Yeah, it sounds like it was some sort of hazing thing, which is terrible. Yeah, it's also really easy to shoot a gun, but extremely impactful. The psychological damage is...
I'm so scared. I want my mom.
Stand up. Where's the firearm?
It's over there by the guy with the flannel and the beard. Please, officer, I'm so scared. Please help me.
Hey, flannel. Hang on. Hey, one of you, flannel and beard, there's a gun over there. Stand up for me.
I can't.
Roll over, stand up. Spread your feet. Spread your feet more. Stephen, come with me.
Okay. Oh my God, please help me. I'm so scared. I can't. I can't.
Have a seat.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Have a seat.
I can't be
Have a seat.
please.
Have a seat.
Once Stephen was left alone in the cruiser, he was flooded with emotions, and his scared demeanor turned into a full-on meltdown.
Why did you hurt me? You cheated my friend. Why were you trying to hurt me? Why?
Around this time, a random woman came running up to one of the officers from across the street. She told the officer that there was another victim. Apparently, during the second round of gunshots, another student named Nick Prado was struck in the neck. He immediately fled the scene, running across the street to 262 East Franklin Avenue, aka the Courtyard. The officer followed her back to the apartment and saw Nick Prado lying on the ground while other students pressed a towel against his neck to manage the bleeding. While waiting for the EMTs to arrive, the officers continued securing the crime scene. With the shooter now in custody, the officers decided to check the surrounding area for any possible threats.
We need to confirm that one shooter is our only shooter.
They swiftly evacuated Mountain View Hall and cleared the building room by room. Back outside, the paramedics had finally arrived on the scene. The victims were loaded into the ambulances and taken to the Flagstaff Medical Center for emergency surgery. Meanwhile, the officers headed back to the cruiser to touch base with Stephen, who had calmed down a bit since the last time we saw him.
You identified yourself to me as the shooter.
Nobody else. None of my friends.
There's nobody else involved.
No, nobody but me. I take all the responsibility. Oh my God. How bad are they hurt?
Hang on, I don't know yet.
Do you know if they're okay?
I don't know if they're okay. I know that some people were transported to the hospital.
I'm so scared. Can I call my mom?
We'll call your mom for you. We'll just got to figure all this stuff out first, okay? Stand by with me.
Stephen was unable to call his mom until after he was processed at the police station.
Yeah,
During the
not
call,
shocking.
his mother sharply advised him not to say anything until he could speak with his father. The call ended, and he was
Yup.
quickly led to the interrogation room.
Yeah, of course. They bring him in there anyway.
Just have a seat over there in that chair.
Classic.
You put my hair on my face, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you are.
He appeared to be more composed now, but panic set in once again when he noticed blood on his hands.
Okay. So what we're going to do... Okay, we're just going to put him on top, so just... That's fine. It's fine, Steven. So put your hands together like this.
I don't think it's fine, but
There you go. Perfect.
Sorry if I spit on you.
You're fine. I know it's not intentional. So just have a seat, okay?
Stephen eventually calmed down again, but as he quietly waited for the detective, his thoughts began to spiral.
You're not going to die, no.
Both panic attacks and catastrophization can be telltale signs of trauma. But without a direct assessment from an expert, it's hard to say whether Stephen is genuinely shattered by the events that occurred, or if this is all an act to deceive the authorities. The detective entered the room just minutes later.
looking pretty genuine.
Although he initially followed his mother's advice, he quickly folded and told his side of the story from the very beginning. It was a typical Friday night, partying with his fellow freshmen and playing some Guitar Hero at an apartment complex called The Grove.
Did you guys imbibe on any alcoholic beverages?
The girls were there.
Did you guys imbibe on any alcoholic beverages? Yeah, okay, dork. What the hell?
I had a sip of my friend's beer, but I knew I was driving and I couldn't afford to.
Sober Stephen quickly got bored, and after about a half hour, he and his friends Jacob, Shay, and Hunter decided to head back to the campus where his car was parked. However, Hunter was walking ahead of the group, and about halfway to their destination, they could no longer see him. Confused about Hunter's whereabouts, they noticed that there was a party happening across the street from the campus at a place called the Courtyard. Some important context about the Courtyard is that it is the home of the Delta Chi fraternity. The 4 victims were all members of Delta Chi. Delta Chi parties have a reputation of frequently getting out of hand. Fights would often break out. And it wasn't uncommon for the police to step in.
It's 9 in the morning, and I can hear your music from at least a block away.
However, Stephen and his friends were just freshmen who had only been at NAU for a few weeks. They had also recently pledged to a different fraternity known as Sigma Chi, unaware that the Courtyard was the home of Delta Chi, a potentially unwelcoming brotherhood. They decided to knock on the door to see if Hunter was there.
10 or 12 dudes came out and they started like, what are you talking? Get the off our porch. And then we just decided to turn around and walk away.
Despite walking away from the conflict, the Delta Chi fraternity brothers wouldn't let up, especially Colin Brew, who was being extremely antagonistic.
What were they saying?
I'm gonna kill you. But you couldn't fight to go back to the freshman dorm. They were obviously very drunk.
Very drunk is an understatement. A medical report would later reveal that Colin's blood alcohol was at 0.28%, 3.5 times the legal limit, and just a few decimal points away from alcohol poisoning. The Delta Chi boys continued to advance towards the freshmen, following them into the middle of the street. Then, out of nowhere, someone ran up and sucker punched Stephen.
Just, like, rocked my world. I had no idea what was going on. My glasses fell off. I could barely see.
After regaining his footing, the Delta Chi boys followed him as he retreated back to his car. Although he was able to unlock the doors with his fob, he was unable to find his keys to start the car. He began to panic as they got closer, so he grabbed the pistol from his glove box and pointed it at them as he exited the vehicle.
I said, I have a gun. Don't move. And then... And they said, I'm gonna kill you. And 2 of them ran at me as fast as they could. He was running at me. He was staring right at me. He was saying he was going to kill me. I was afraid for my life.
While many argue that firearms shouldn't be allowed on campus, Arizona law states that it is legal as long as the firearm is locked in your car and out of sight. Stephen said that after defending himself from Colin and Nick, The rest of the fraternity jumped him, which would explain the several injuries on his face. Stephen then claimed that while being battered on the ground, he decided that the only way to escape this situation without shooting anybody else would be to scare them away.
I grabbed my gun and I just put it in the air. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. I wasn't even aiming at anybody. How many rounds did you fire? I don't know. I just remembered my training. My dad trained me.
It turns out that Stephen's father was an NRA-certified firearm instructor, so he was well versed in firearm safety and handling, including self-defense situations.
I was trained to fire until it's not necessary to anymore.
At this point, the detective momentarily left the room, and when he came back, he updated Stephen on his alleged attackers.
3 people in the hospital. 1 has passed away.
I assume it was the guy who got shot in the neck and left, but
Nick Peering and Nick Prado eventually had a full recovery.
No.
It turns out that the bullet that struck Nick Prado's neck had shattered the chain of his necklace and dented the tiny heart-shaped cremation pendant that hung from it, which contained his grandfather's ashes. The bullet ended up slicing through his neck less than 1/10 of an inch from his aorta, the largest artery in the human body. Nick's parents believed that this was a case of divine intervention.
That's
And
crazy.
his grandfather saved his life. As for Kyle Zintek, he ultimately lost a kidney and suffered significant liver damage. Tragically, Colin Brew had succumbed to his gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead. Following his interview, Stephen's injuries were photographed. His lips were cut up and his head was scraped and bruised. Also, when they took his clothes as evidence, they noticed that he had many more small injuries all over his body. He was given a white jumpsuit, but was later upgraded to a blue jail suit. He was charged with first-degree murder and 3 counts of aggravated assault. While Stephen sat behind bars, the students at NAU were just starting to process what had happened. Their lives had been changed forever.
Our hearts are hurting because none of them deserved it, and none of them wanted to put anyone in danger.
In the evening, a student vigil was held where Colin's peers and Delta Chi brothers mourned their loss.
He's in the center of the hug because he's still alive. He's one of the victims of the NAU shootings, and as his friends try to hold him close, it hurts. His wound still so fresh. And while there is a bandage for the body, there isn't one for what so many students here are suffering. If ever a brotherhood has been needed, it's right now.
At his arraignment hearing, Stephen pled not guilty, and his bond was set at $2 million. But to everyone's surprise, after 6 months in the Coconino County Jail, Stephen was granted pretrial release and was allowed to stay with his parents under strict conditions including 24/7 GPS monitoring. It seemed that the defense had presented some hard evidence suggesting that Stephen was not a danger to the public. But the choice to release Stephen was deeply troubling to the families of the victims. If the defense could convince the judge to set Stephen free, could they convince the jury to do the same? On April 17th, 2017, a year and a half after the shooting, Stephen's trial began. County Attorney Ammon Barker delivered the prosecution's opening statement.
The defendant, Stephen Jones, murdered a young man and seriously injured 3 others because his pride was hurt. Now, before this night, none of these victims knew the defendant, never associated with him, didn't know him to like him or dislike him. But that night, to the victims, the defendant was an assassin emerging from the darkness.
He's certainly not getting
and they had no
charged with
chance to
first-degree
protect
murder.
themselves before the defendant unloaded 10 rounds from his gun and changed their lives forever. All this because the defendant wanted payback. This case is not a whodunit. There's no mystery to who killed Colin Brew, who shot Nick Peering, Nick Prado, or Kyle Zintek. The defendant did. The question for you during this trial will be, what was the defendant's intent when he shot these 4 unarmed victims? This was aggravated assault, and it was premeditated murder. At the end of this case, the state will ask you to hold him accountable for what he's done. For the murder of Colin Brew and for the shooting of Nick Peering, Nick Prado, and Kyle Zintek, and find him guilty on all charges.
During the defense's opening statement, they backed up Stephen's story from his interrogation, saying that the shooting was justified because it was purely an act of self-defense.
When you hear this case, you will find that this is not a case about an assassin emerging from the dark on a rampage. It's not even close. This is a case about an 18-year-old kid.
Premeditated is very
who was
hard
just
to prove.
a couple weeks.
That makes me feel like they have something.
into his college
We'll
career,
see.
a freshman at NAU. And he found himself in a situation where he was surrounded, bullied, threatened, and attacked, and did what he had to do to protect himself.
Throughout the trial, a total of 35 witnesses took the stand. Using bits and pieces of their testimonies, our team has edited together a concise and comprehensive retelling of that horrible night. It combines the perspectives of the bystanders, Delta Chi fraternity members, and Sigma Chi pledges, including Stephen himself. We will start from the moment that Stephen, Jacob, Shay, and Hunter leave the apartments at the Grove and head back to Stephen's car.
I heard the door behind us.
I got it. Ban. See you later. No mods. No mods. Post-cock.
Open, and out came like 6 or 7 guys, I believe, and they were shouting at us, asking what we were doing here, using various cuss words, and just trying to intimidate us, it felt like.
One of them punched Steven, and that was when we were like, okay, this is serious. It just rocked my world. Like, it was really hard.
Were you expecting that to happen?
Not at all.
Had you done anything physically or verbally to provoke that?
Not at all. It knocked my glasses off. Everything went dark, went black. And then as I was getting back up, I felt someone behind me try to grab the back of my shirt, and I started running toward Mountain View.
As Stephen ran back to his car, 3 or 4 people chased him down, while the other Delta Chi members surrounded Jacob and Shay, shoving them to the ground.
I thought they were going to get beat up really bad.
Once Stephen got into his vehicle, he struggled to find his keys and began to panic.
No, I didn't have my glasses, and I couldn't really see, and my legs were shaking, and I was, panicked, and I realized, oh my God, I have to do something, so I got the gun out of my glove box. I yelled as loud as I possibly could, "Don't move, I have a gun, get on the ground."
I remember seeing Colin with the flashlight right on his face.
One of the 2 men looked like he lunged towards Steven.
And then I heard gunshots.
The first person who was shot twice just fell to the ground like a rock.
I sprinted and jumped over the bushes that you had pointed out. And that's when I saw Nick Peering midair get hit and fall to the ground as well.
Mikey Scollard, one of the students looking out of the dorm windows, also saw the shooting and ran directly to the victims to give first aid.
I put my palms in his gunshot wounds, told him to stay calm, and told him to calm down because he was screaming and crying. And
I ran toward Colin.
Why did you run toward the shots, Nick?
Because my friend was in trouble.
And what did you see when you got there?
He was on his back. His shirt was covered in blood. His eyes were wide open. He was looking up at the sky.
I'm first aid certified, so I went over to try to treat his wounds.
I believe I tried to get on top of him when he was knelt down, so I could potentially try to get the gun out of the back pocket.
All the rest of them kind of just piled on top of me, kicking and punching and wailing. And one guy was stomping on my stomach, and they were screaming, "You shot my friend, you fucking psycho. And, I'll fuck you up. I'll fucking kill you, I was screaming as loud as I could, "Help, help," like a really high, loud scream. Like, I thought they were going to get my gun and kill me with it.
According to Stephen, that's when he pulled the gun out of his back pocket and shot into the air, hoping to scare his attackers away.
And then there was another round of gunshots, and then I put my body on top of Nick's.
That was pretty brave, Mikey. What was going through your head?
To be entirely honest, I was preparing for a bullet to go through my back or my head.
I got shot through the neck. It's the most intense pain you've ever felt in your life, pressure-wise and sharpness. But at the same time, the adrenaline and the shock kick in, and you're so amped up that it's almost like you're being numbed, like someone has an ice pack on the wound, but you had just gotten hit with a sledgehammer.
When I turned around to run, just felt something, and I dropped to the ground. It was
the most painful thing, but I didn't feel a thing. I just couldn't move.
Following the second round of gunshots, everybody scattered, and the police arrived shortly after.
I was really relieved. I thought, you know, oh my God, I'm safe now. You know, like the cops are here. I can just go to them and it's all over. You know, it's perfect. They can protect me.
What's the next thing that you remember after that?
Waking up in the hospital. I was shot twice in the back. I had lost a kidney. I had to have some part of my intestines removed and a ostomy bag put on. I had I believe a broken rib, a tube up my nose and down my throat.
It's natural for emotional testimonies like these to evoke a visceral reaction, but it's important to not let this reaction skew your judgment. Looking at the evidence objectively, there are clearly some inconsistencies that need to be addressed.
Okay,
For
go
example,
on.
once
Let's go.
Stephen got back to his car, he made several drastic decisions that escalated the situation, even though there were safer options.
Let's talk about some of the things you could have done that night. Could have called the police, right?
I didn't think I could have.
You could have locked the door to your car.
I couldn't have.
You couldn't have locked the door to your car.
No.
You didn't have the ability to lock the door inside your car?
I didn't think I could have.
As you sit here today, you know you could have, right?
I think I probably could have.
You could have armed yourself and then gotten out
Terrible
of the car.
answer in court.
And when you discovered that nobody was around you, you could have just stayed there, right?
I couldn't just abandon my friends.
Also, Stephen claims that the Delta Chi members chased him back to his car, and he only grabbed his gun because they were closing in on him.
There were those two guys that I mentioned.
Where?
Out the driver's side door.
How far away?
At the time, it seemed like 10 or 15 feet.
However, it turns out that the distance between them was much further than 15 feet.
How much space was there in actuality?
I learned it was 90 feet later.
Okay, so you were just dead wrong on that.
90?
I suppose so, yes.
Okay, yeah, he's going to jail. That's crazy.
This meant that not only were the Delta Chi members nowhere near Stephen's car, but after grabbing his gun, he must have walked that entire distance back towards them before he was in any imminent danger. The prosecution believed that this was just one of many examples of Stephen allowing his paranoia to get the better of him, causing him to believe that he was in more danger than he actually was. After all, many of the details that Stephen shared seemed to directly contradict other witness testimonies.
In the very beginning, when they all came out of the house, someone was holding a beer bottle, and I thought I saw them swinging it, or it might have been a rock or something.
Anyone carrying a weapon?
No, not that I know of.
Did you see anybody with any weapons?
No.
Did you see anybody with any weapons?
No, I did not.
The one on the right says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you."
At any point, did you hear someone say, "I'm going to kill you"?
I did not.
Or "I'm going to hurt you"?
I did not.
Did you hear the word kill or anybody threaten to kill anybody?
Interesting.
I do not recall.
Did you hear anything about killing anyone or harming anybody?
No, sir, I never heard that.
I just freaked out, and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, I need to get my gun."
A gun wasn't necessary.
Gun people love making a gun necessary. That they sure do. They sure love making a gun necessary.
I thought it was a hostile situation, but there was no point where I thought I was in any situation where my life was at stake.
Another main point of contention was whether or not Stephen shot in the air while being attacked by the Delta Chi members,
Well,
accidentally
other people
shooting
got
Nick
shot,
Prado and
yeah.
Kyle Zintek.
All the rest of them kind of
If you
just
shot in the
piled
air,
on top of
that
me.
doesn't make
The
much sense.
prosecution believed that Stephen was never attacked by a group of
Yeah, I was
people
about to say,
at all,
that's
and
Stephen's
that he
friend
took
that said
aim
that, by
at
the way.
Nick and Kyle in cold blood.
How did you point your hand?
Upward.
Can you demonstrate?
Yeah.
Just straight above your head.
Not fully extended, kind of bent a little bit.
Forensic evidence,
Nick
maybe?
Prado, how do you account for how he got shot through the neck?
I have no idea.
Or Kyle Zintek in the back?
Twice.
I didn't know at the time.
You would agree that's not shooting into the air, right?
What is it?
When you shoot someone in the back, that's not shooting in the air?
Even Stephen's friend, Jacob Mike, who was right beside Stephen at the time, claimed that he never saw a group of people gang up on Stephen at any point.
At any point, did you ever see a group of people piling on the defendant?
No.
The defense, however, found it ridiculous that this was being questioned at all. How else would Stephen have gotten so many injuries all over his body? And to support Stephen's claim that he shot the gun in the air, the defense pointed to this tree branch, which was struck by one of the bullets. According to their ballistics expert, the angle that the bullet struck the branch indicated an upward trajectory. There were also 2 bullets that were shot from Stephen's gun that were never recovered. The defense believed that the missing bullets were shot in the air, and that's why the investigators never found them. On the 8th day of the trial, it was time for the closing arguments. The prosecution painted Stephen as a trigger-happy vigilante that wanted to show Delta Chi who the real alpha was.
The defendant couldn't wait to shoot his gun. He was eager to. Not a second thought to stay in his car, not a second thought to call the police or to drive away. Because his first thought
90 feet is crazy.
Was to fire his gun. His first thought was to retaliate. His first thought was to arm himself with a weapon and show whoever was out there who had the power. Because with that gun in his hands, ladies and gentlemen, he had the power over people's lives. The defendant wanted to enact his own deranged sense of justice, not the justice we have here in this courtroom or that we swore an oath to uphold. No, he wanted to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And the first person who decided to confront him, who dared confront him and challenge him, Colin Brew, he decided to shoot twice in the torso.
Like 20-something
There's
meters,
nothing we can
almost
do
30.
now to bring Colin back. There's nothing we can do now to stop what the defendant did that night. But there's something that you can do today, right now, to find this defendant, Stephen Jones, accountable for what he did and find him guilty on all of the charges. Thank you.
The defense on
just for all of my Americans out there that want a good translation of how far 90 feet is, that's 1/4 of a football field. What? Yeah. Football fields are 360 feet long, are they not? That's really fucking far. Like, that's the distance. Yeah, another good point. That's the distance it takes from a baseball player to get from home plate to first base. That's a distance. That is a length. Watch a baseball game. Pull up a baseball game when you're watching this and look at how long it takes the batter to run from home plate to first base. Like, just, it takes seconds for them to run to that distance. So just to put into a better perspective.
on the other hand, told the jury that regardless of what led up to the shooting and the escalation that happened afterwards, lethal action was justified the moment Colin and Nick Peering charged Stephen.
Ask yourself, would you want to take a chance on letting these guys tackle you and get that gun? That's the viewpoint that you have to look at this case from. What would you do if you were standing there and these guys were charging at you? You're not deciding whether it was wise for him to leave the car. He had every right to leave that car and walk up to that scene. It's not a situation any of us would want to ever be in. But under these circumstances, with these two guys charging right at him,
I don't know Arizona law that well.
He acted reasonably. He did not have a choice. The prosecutor is trying to sell you this.
Arizona's a weird state, so he might have actually technically had legal right to approach with the gun, yes. I don't know. I mean, he could just be waffling, but there are a bit of nuance between states when it comes to defense laws. There's a few differences. Arizona's definitely around there in terms of gun legislation. He might have been legally within his right. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. Not at all. So just Arizona being a southern state, it's very possible they have a bit of a looser gun law. It's I don't know, it depends. So there's a few different types of stand your ground laws. You probably know the ones that are like the Florida ones where it's like you can just, if somebody's threatening you at your property, you can shoot to kill, whatever. There are different laws about like when you're in a dangerous situation, rather than like defending your property, whatever. And that goes into all these little nuances of, well, how much can you defend yourself, whatever. There's a few different types. There's like the castle statute, where it's essentially like you are defending your castle and you're able to defend it until that person is done pursuing breaking into the castle, right? I think it's called like the castle doctrine. Yeah, you're allowed to defend your castle. Yeah, thank you for adding that. I don't think that's what's happening here, because obviously he's not defending his castle, he's defending himself in public. But when, like I said, when it comes to dangerous situations in public, there's similar. It's still crazy to me that he walked 90 feet to get back in the situation, though. I mean, once again, that is a significant distance to think about what you're about to do. I'm not arguing the morality of the situation. What this kid did is pretty fucked up after that was revealed. 90 feet is fucking crazy. If they're 10 feet from him and approaching, I could see the reaction. Them being 90 feet away, him getting back out of the car and walking up to them and doing that is wild. Crazy. That is so unnecessary. I just mean more that what this guy said, he could, like, legally could have been within his rights to go back to the situation to, like, diffuse it or defend it, whatever. So I don't think he was in any immediate danger, clearly, though. Not at all.
Premeditated. That he was retaliating.
I don't know about premeditated, but pretty fucking stupid for sure.
None of which is consistent with the facts. It's frankly laughable to try and claim that Stephen is an assassin. Now, when you look at all the evidence in this case, there is no doubt whatsoever that he's innocent of all of these charges.
Okay. Let's do an experiment, guys. Okay? I want you guys to count. Getting scary. I'm gonna walk 90 feet in the room, and we're gonna figure out how long it takes me. Okay? I'm not gonna like do it very like slow, whatever, like pinky to ankle. I'm just gonna walk like I'm walking. I'm gonna go like back and forth in the room, count to 90. Okay? Obviously, my room isn't 90 feet, and I'm gonna go to the door, turn around, come back this way, turn around until I get to 90. Duh. Duh. Oh. Let's see how long this takes me. I obviously have to take my headphones off and I can't talk to you. All right. It took me a whole minute. That's not, that's walking. That's a whole minute. That's a long fucking time. Yeah, easily 20 seconds if you're running. Okay. Let me ask a Siri question. What's the fastest a baseball player has run to first base? Brett Gardner has been clocked at 3.5 seconds from home plate to first base, apparently. And that is a professional baseball player sprinting as fast as he can to get to first base. First of all, that's fast as shit, but I don't think this kid's Brett Gardner. So let's ask a follow-up question. What's the average speed an MLB player makes it to first base at? Average speed of a Major League Baseball player running from home plate to first base is approximately 27.4 miles. The average time taken by a right-handed batter to reach first base is 4.35 seconds, while the average left-handed batter is 4.31. So professional baseball players are taking almost five seconds to go that distance. Professional baseball players. Like we're talking, he got to his car, he got to his gun in his glove box, took it out, everything. And then if he walked the distance back to them, took 90 feet, took a whole minute if he's walking to run through what he's about to do. What about average dude? How fast does an average person run? 4.6 miles per hour. How fast can somebody going 4.6 miles per hour go 90 feet? I don't think I said that right. How long would it take somebody going 5 miles an hour to go 90 feet? Fuck. Okay, speed 5 miles per hour, distance 90 feet. 12 seconds. That's the average person's sprint speed. It would take them 12 seconds. If he was running. Which he wasn't, I don't think. I'm pretty sure nobody mentions that he runs over there. Yeah, let's sit in silence for 12 seconds. That's a great point. Set a timer for 12 seconds. Not exactly short. It's enough to muster a thought, I imagine. I got 2 thoughts in. Nice, man. Is that a record for you or what's up? That's a long time. Like, even if he's full on sprinting from his car to where they were, that is a long time to make a decision. 12 seconds is a lot of time to when you're holding a gun, running at somebody, being like, I'm about to shoot these people. That's a long time to digest what you're about to do. And that's the average rate at which people go. Think about if he walked that distance. That's 90 seconds. That's 90 seconds of just thinking about it. Set a timer for 90 seconds. Oh, it was 90 feet, not 90 seconds. It was 60 seconds. My bad. Set a timer for a minute. Awkward, huh? Long time. That's not even calculating the amount of time it took him to get to the car, get in his car, get his gun, get out of the car, start walking. That is just the distance from the car to where they were, apparently. Form your opinions yourself. That is a very long time to me. That is a long time to digest what he ended up doing.
We expect you to find the same.
They rested their case and the jury was sent to deliberate. After 5 days of thoroughly reviewing and discussing the evidence, the jury re-entered the courtroom with shocking news.
Mr. Foreperson, I have been informed that the jury has indicated that you do not feel that additional deliberations or assistance will help you in reaching a verdict. Is this correct? Correct. All right. This court is therefore going to declare a mistrial in this case.
Following this mistrial,
jury?
the prosecutors vowed to try Stephen's case again, determined to get justice for Colin and the surviving victims. After several delays, his retrial was scheduled to take place in 2020, this time for a lesser charge of second-degree murder rather than first-degree murder. However, before this would happen, Stephen was offered a plea deal. The deal would reduce his second-degree murder charge to manslaughter, and he would only be sentenced to anywhere between 5 and 10 years in prison. Ultimately, Stephen accepted this deal, and he was booked into the Coconino County Jail. On February 11th, 2020, his sentencing hearing took place, and Colin's mother was finally given the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know why they went to first degree either. That was a...
I miss him. I miss his smile. I miss his voice. I miss his infectious laugh. Some nights I wake up in a cold sweat in fear of forgetting any part of him.
She urged the judge to give Stephen the maximum possible sentence for the suffering he had caused.
Because he did cause catastrophic damage that night and a rippling effect that goes on and on.
As Stephen listened, he couldn't hold back his tears. But there was no sympathy from Nick Peering, who believed that Stephen was a danger to society.
He has proven that he's capable of taking away one life and was not afraid to take away at least 3 more.
Stephen was also given a chance to speak. He expressed remorse for his actions and accepted responsibility for Colin's death.
If it were possible, I would, in a heartbeat right now, just trade places with Colin Brew. If he could be at home with his family, I would do that.
In the end, Stephen was sentenced to 6 years at the Red Rock Correctional Center in Eloy, Arizona, and was required to serve at least 85% of his time before he could be eligible for parole. On August 19th, 2024, after serving 4.5 years in prison, Stephen was released on parole.
Colin was a kind, beautiful, loving soul with a bright, bright, bright smile that would light up any room. that he answered. I think about Colin often, and I think about that night, and it's just a horrible memory to have. You know, it still really hurts. There's times where I have moments where I just break down and cry, or, you know, his birthday, I break down and cry. I feel that the justice system failed in this case.
Interesting. I'm sure he's no longer allowed to be near guns, hopefully. Oh, definitely not. If he's on parole, absolutely not. Not at all. Lot of nuance to that one, dude. Took a life and only got 6 years. That's a plea deal, dude. One of the biggest issues with American law is that lawyers are so overworked and overburdened with the amount of cases they have to work on that plea deals are a majority of what ends up happening in crimes. And it does not shock me that they offered a plea deal at all, given that the first case was a mistrial. And even though they went for a second prosecution and went for second degree, they definitely did that in order to breach a plea deal agreement. Because just the amount of work that lawyers have is endless and never ending, on top of infinite. So, interesting one. I think it's very important, and I love this channel for this, in which they show impact statements from the victims and the family affected. That's just an excuse lawyers and courts drag out trials to maximize profit. No. No. I would absolutely disagree. Have you seen, you should see what public defenders have to do. You should see the amount of work on every public defender's table. It's an endless pile. Maybe a private firm, but like they don't get paid. Okay, buddy. Lawyers don't get paid by the amount of time the trial takes. Just so you know. Like, that's not how they get paid mainly. Also, prison is basically modern day slavery, so like the court isn't going to make money off of the court case either. They're going to make money off of them being in jail. They get paid by case, not by hour, yes. Like, that is the more tedious part of the job, and because they have to do it so often, that's why plea deals happen, because the workload is insurmountable. So they try to get through these things with plea deals, which is essentially a speed run trial where the person just goes, yeah, I did it, and as a way to thank the person for just admitting to it and getting out of having to take so super long, they give them a lighter sentence, or they give them a lighter charge in order to get less time. So, like, maybe in some cases you might not be wrong, but I can guarantee you when it comes to public prosecution and defense, they're definitely not drawing out cases because they get paid per case, not per time spent on the case. I would encourage you to look up how like lawyers make their money. It's possible private firms pay by the hour, but most public defenders and lawyers in general get paid by case. Successful or not, by the way. It's not like they get paid more for winning. Not typically. They get they get more clientele for succeeding. So the motivation to succeed is to maximize clientele and profit because they get more clientele, therefore more profit. Not they don't get paid more for winning. A lot of things you hear about lawyers is cop propaganda. Yeah, you're actually absolutely right. A lot of things you hear about lawyers is cop propaganda because they don't want you to like lawyers. They literally want you to hate them. It's done on purpose because cops do not want you to cooperate with them. Absolutely. Oh yeah, public defenders do not make much money at all. You would be shocked. You would be absolutely shocked. My mom is a paralegal and the amount of work that goes into each case is crazy. It's a lot of work, dude. They should get paid by the hour because they would be absolutely fucking loaded. Because the amount of work that people like lawyers have to put in each case is crazy. It's an interesting question. I know you're not meaning it in any sort of malicious way. It's an interesting thing to say, for sure. Aren't most U.S. lawyers private? Nah, man. There's a lot of public defenders and prosecutors. In fact, there needs to be more. There are people who do not have lawyers. Most are public. They really don't. Public firms are like the epitome of how to make it as a lawyer. But you can't, like, most don't just like become a private lawyer. They have to work within the public. Most people cannot afford it because it's fucking expensive. But a lot of lawyers become private because they're really fucking good at their job. That's why they're expensive. So yeah, there are a lot of restrictions when it comes to public defending or prosecution. Income is a big parameter. If you make too much money, you're not eligible, etc. There's a whole all sorts of requirements surrounding how you get one, how you whatever, etc. So it's an interesting thought. I wouldn't say you might be right. In some cases, you might be right. But I think in a majority of the case, for a majority of lawyers, no, they don't want to drag out cases. That's why plea deals are given and done and offered, because they want to get through as many as possible, because getting through the cases is what gets them paid, not the time it takes to go through the case. That's why they want the plea deals, because the plea deals is basically like the suspect going, I did it, just charge me, and then they go, thanks for just being honest, we'll give you a lesser charge for just being honest and saving us all the trouble. So what an interesting case. What an interesting case. I do really like this channel. I think it's super important that they do things like show the victims and talk, like show, like he had no reason. He didn't technically need to show the mom there at any point. He had already gone over everything and shown the results, everything. He didn't have to show the mom during that sentencing hearing, but it's important to, because I think what a lot of true crime channels and content creators lose is that these are real people and this stuff happened. And it's hard to remember that sometimes, because we get to see this in such a privileged position of not dealing with it. And we get to just sort of indulge in a situation we cannot fathom. And it's important to show that there are people directly affected, or indirectly affected. when it comes to this sort of stuff. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking hearing those 911 calls. It's heartbreaking hearing that mom talk about missing her son and being worried about forgetting him. That is soul crushing. I cannot imagine being in that situation, but that's a way to continue to keep the humanity within this content. Like, once again, because there are a lot of channels out there that just miss the whole point and are just hopping on the trend of trendy and what gets attention, and they miss most of the factual information and then a majority of the point. Nobody wants to be in this position, and it's important to show the people in this position so you understand the effect it has, and we continue to be humanistic as much as possible. I mean, like, how it's morbid to remove such personality and humanity to the victims, especially, but even the people. I mean, even the suspect, like, you know, we go through all this stuff in the logic and we find flaws in the logic of what Steven did here, but even so, you know, I can imagine a lot of his reaction at the time was genuine. Who knows? He seemed genuinely upset about them being hurt. Like, he could have been full panic mode for all we know, and everything could have seemed 10 feet apart. But it's important to understand that, even if we see the logic in this situation, it's much easier for us to walk 90 feet and count and be like, that's ridiculous, than to be in his situation and walk that 90 feet and not feel like it's happening within 2 seconds. I can't imagine. I don't want to imagine, but it's important to understand that, because once again, you have to have humanity within the criminology and criminal justice system. Otherwise, we lose the whole point, and there's no point. You have to humanize the victim as much as you have to humanize the suspect as much as you have to humanize the victim, because dehumanizing either just makes it all pointless. Because why would we even be arguing if something not even human did something? Just get rid of them. You know what I mean? When a piece of machinery is broken, you replace it or fix it. You don't go, well, it had a tough day. It was a little upset. It was worried. You don't ask the vacuum how it's feeling. You just go, damn, I guess I got to fix my vacuum or get a different one. You don't add that, like, touch to what your vacuum's dealing with, even though theoretically your vacuum's probably been through a lot. But it's hard to do that. But it's important to. It's important to make the people in this situation be people and see them as people. I think from seeing plenty of these, I think I could be wrong. Watching Steven react to this, that seemed pretty genuine, and he seemed pretty upset. I'm pretty certain he's just not correct. I mean, he's got like some crazy, like, he was clearly not thinking straight when that happened. I think he thought so. I think everything looks really bad when you scope it out and look at all the little details, but that's why you don't have a gun in the first place. So you don't, I don't know, go 90 feet with a gun and shoot 4 separate people and kill one. Not really, there's not really like any sort of, there's no nuance if he just gets in the car and locks it, or gets in the car and finds his keys, because he had way more time than he implied, by the way, just based off of what everybody else except him says, which makes it really hard to believe him when multiple eyewitness testimonies who weren't even the assailants were saying the same thing as the victims. So, you know, it's an interesting one. An interesting one. This is like, once again, I don't know how to express how unnecessary a gun is enough. Like, it's, this whole situation's avoided if he just doesn't have that. It doesn't even happen. You know how hard? I hope you don't know how hard. You know how hard it is to beat somebody to death? It is just as realistic as choking someone to death. It takes minutes. It takes a long time. It takes a long time, dude. Like, you have to really fuck their shit up for a prolonged amount of time. And nobody stop them that whole time for it to actually get you. It's just not. And once again, a gun is dangerously effective. Dangerously effective. There's no necessity for it. It is so easy for him to make that choice. Exactly. Yeah. That's what sucks. Is and the worst part is, theoretically, he is more than qualified to handle that weapon. His dad was a qualified firearms expert. Clearly, he got trained by his dad. So he knows firearm safety. He knows firearm handling, theoretically. And he still sticks to it like a pacifier in this situation. He still uses it. The first thing he does is use it. Not the last thing, the first thing he does. The first thing he does is when he gets threatened and popped in the face, is he runs and gets his gun. That was the first choice he made. He went minutes away from getting punched. He walked over to his car. He ran over to his car, got in his car, got out his gun, walked over to them, and then started shooting. That is a long time. That was his first choice. That was his first response to the situation, was, I need to go all the way to my car, all the way back, and then show them my gun so they stop, even though there was clearly distance. It's something else, man. Did I see Olivia's impact statement on the Kohberger sentencing? I did, yes. If you don't know what that is, that's Olivia was the surviving roommate of the Idaho killer, Brian Kohberger. She gave an impact statement on his sentencing. He got life in prison. Not a shock. He got caught murdering 4 people because he's a fucking idiot who had his phone with him. Pretty much most of the time. Haley's sister, not the roommate. I thought one of the roommates gave an impact statement. Did I watch a different one? Huh. Well, my bad then. I mean, I'm sure there was more than one. Written by the sister, said by the roommate. Oh, was that what happened?
Sneak, crime, sneak, explode.
I watched a video that said that showed him staring down. It says staring down surviving roommate as she gets through her impact statement. But maybe Okay, so there was two. There was that and the sisters. Okay, cool. Maybe I should watch that one eventually too then. Is this a recent tragedy? No. Koberger was a few years ago during COVID-ish. Like near the end of COVID. I think it was 22. Might have been 23 early. But I think the Idaho killings was 22. Late 22. It's an interesting case because whatever you don't know, the suspect, Brian Koberger, was getting a master's degree in criminology, and I guess he thought he could just murder 4 people from a different state and have his phone off a few times and then just like think he could not get caught doing it, except he got caught immediately because he's fucking stupid. And had his phone on him, which put him near a lot of things very easily. Duh. Why did he kill them? Why does anybody? Why do most people? Money, jealousy, rage, or just evil. We get evil from him. He doesn't really have a good reason. He didn't really have a good reason. He just sort of did that. He never said why? No. No, he did not. Not to my knowledge. I'm not keeping super close to it though. So it's possible something was found out, but to my knowledge, he never said why. They might have an idea, but he's never admitted anything to my knowledge.